Every morning, millions of seniors across America start their day the same way. Slowly getting out of bed, turning on the coffee pot, maybe checking the news before breakfast. It feels peaceful, almost routine. But what if I told you that some of those simple morning habits, things you've probably done for decades, could actually raise your stroke risk before the day even begins? Here's a sobering truth. According to the American Stroke Association, the majority of strokes in older adults occur between 6 a.m. and noon. Doctors call it the danger window. And it's not random. It's linked directly to how your body reacts when you first wake up. When you open your eyes after a night's sleep, your blood pressure naturally spikes. Your blood becomes thicker, and your heart works harder to push oxygen to your brain. If your arteries are stiff or partially blocked, something common after 60, that sudden surge can be enough to trigger a clot, a bleed, or a silent mini-stroke. Now here's the twist. What you do in those first 30 minutes after waking up can make all the difference. Because certain habits, like skipping water, rushing out of bed, or loading up on the wrong breakfast, can amplify that early morning pressure even more. They quietly push your heart and brain over the edge, often without warning signs. I've seen it countless times. A patient wakes up feeling off, maybe dizzy, maybe a bit weak on one side, and assumes it's just low blood sugar or fatigue. By the time they realize it's a stroke, hours have passed, and precious brain cells are already gone. But here's the good news. Just as bad habits can raise your risk, good habits can protect you. Once you understand what happens inside your body each morning and what small changes can lower the pressure on your heart and brain, you can turn your mornings into a shield instead of a risk. So in today's video, we're going to uncover 10 common morning mistakes that silently raise your stroke risk, from what you drink or don't drink to how you move, breathe, and even think when you first wake up. 1. Getting out of bed too quickly. The 10-second mistake that can trigger a stroke. Picture this. It's 6:30 a.m. You've just opened your eyes after a good night's sleep. You swing your legs off the bed and stand up right away. Maybe because you're used to doing that for years. But within seconds, you feel dizzy, your vision blurs, or your heart races for no reason. You sit back down, waiting for it to pass. Most people shrug that off as just getting old. But for many seniors, that exact moment, those 5 to 10 seconds, can be the most dangerous part of the entire day. Here's why. When you sleep, your blood pressure naturally drops and your circulation slows down. Your heart doesn't need to work as hard because your body is at rest. But when you suddenly sit up or stand, gravity pulls blood down to your legs. If your arteries are stiff or your heart is weaker, which is common after 60, it takes longer for blood to reach your brain again. The result? A sudden drop in brain blood flow, known as orthostatic hypotension. Doctors from the American Heart Association warn that in older adults, these sudden changes can double the risk of falls and transient ischemic attacks, mini-strokes. And here's the scariest part. Sometimes the dizziness passes in seconds, but the damage doesn't. If a small clot gets lodged in your brain during that blood pressure dip, it can lead to confusion, speech difficulty, or even a silent stroke. One of my patients, Mary, a 74-year-old retired nurse, told me she'd often wake up and stand right away because she didn't want to waste time. One morning, she felt dizzy and fell. When doctors scanned her brain, they found evidence of multiple small silent strokes, likely caused by those sudden morning blood pressure drops over the years. It's a small habit, but it builds up quietly. Here's how to fix it. Take your time. When you wake up, stay in bed for 30 seconds. Stretch your arms and legs gently. Then, slowly sit up and keep your feet on the floor for another 30 seconds before standing. Drink a small glass of water before standing up. Dehydration overnight makes blood thicker, which increases dizziness and stroke risk when standing suddenly. If you take blood pressure medication, ask your doctor if your morning timing needs adjusting. Some prescriptions can amplify that morning dip. Avoid jumping straight into activity. Even something as simple as walking to the bathroom too fast can overload your circulation before your body is ready. Think of your morning like starting an old car on a cold day. If you slam the gas pedal right away, the engine sputters. But if you let it warm up, everything runs smoothly. Your heart and brain are no different. They just need a few extra moments to adjust, and those moments could literally save your life. 2. Skipping morning water. The dehydration mistake that thickens your blood and raises stroke risk. If there's one simple habit that could quietly decide the difference between a healthy morning and a hospital visit, it's whether or not you drink water when you wake up. Let's be honest, most people over 60 reach for their coffee mug before anything else. Some take their pills with just a sip. Others skip water altogether, thinking, "I'm not thirsty." But here's the truth. You are already dehydrated when you wake up, whether you feel it or not. During the night, your body loses water through breathing, sweating, and even just normal metabolism. After 6 to 8 hours without a sip, your blood becomes slightly thicker and your circulation slows down. That may not sound serious, but for seniors, this small change can make the difference between smooth blood flow and a clot forming in your arteries. Think of your blood like a river. When it's full and flowing, it moves smoothly. But when the water level drops, the current slows, and debris starts to stick to the sides. That's exactly what happens inside your arteries when you're dehydrated. It becomes easier for platelets to clump, forming tiny clots that can travel to the brain. A study from Loma Linda University found that people who drank less than 2 glasses of water per day were twice as likely to suffer a stroke as those who stayed properly hydrated. Another study in neurology showed that dehydration increases the severity of strokes by making blood harder to pump through narrowed vessels. And here's the kicker. Dehydration doesn't just happen in summer. It's just as common in winter, especially among older adults who lose their sense of thirst. Let me tell you about Frank, a 70-year-old retired engineer. He used to start his day with coffee and toast, no water. One morning, he woke up dizzy and weak on his right side. He thought he was just tired, but it turned out to be a mini-stroke caused by dehydration and high morning blood pressure. Now, his first morning ritual is a full glass of water, and his doctor says it's one of the best changes he's ever made. So how much water do you actually need? Start your day with at least 8 to 10 ounces of water, about 1 glass, within 10 minutes of waking up. This helps thin your blood, improve circulation, and flush out toxins that build up overnight. Drink before coffee, not after. Caffeine is a mild diuretic. It makes your body lose even more water. Add a pinch of sea salt or a few drops of lemon if plain water feels boring. Both help replenish electrolytes naturally. Keep a glass by your bedside. That simple reminder can help turn hydration into a habit. Remember, your heart works 24/7 to pump blood through more than 60,000 miles of arteries. A single glass of water in the morning is like oil for that engine. It helps everything move smoothly. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your coffee, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Drink your water first. It's the simplest stroke prevention medicine your body could ever ask for, and it's completely free. 3. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. The hidden morning habit that spikes your blood pressure and heart rate. For millions of Americans, coffee isn't just a drink, it's a ritual. That first sip in the morning feels like life itself, warm, comforting, and energizing. But here's something few people over 60 realize. When you drink coffee on an empty stomach, it can quietly put your heart and brain under more stress than you think. Let me explain. When you wake up, your body naturally releases a hormone called cortisol, the morning alert hormone. It raises your blood pressure slightly to help you get ready for the day. Now, when you drink coffee before eating anything, you pour caffeine on top of that cortisol spike. The result? A double surge of adrenaline, cortisol, and blood pressure, all before you've even had breakfast. For a healthy 30-year-old, that's not a big deal. But for someone over 60, especially if you already have hypertension or atherosclerosis, this sudden rush can trigger irregular heartbeat, dizziness, or even a mini-stroke. According to the American Heart Association, caffeine on an empty stomach can cause a 10 to 15 millimeter of mercury rise in systolic blood pressure within just 15 minutes. That may not sound huge, but if your morning pressure is already high, this extra bump could push you into the danger zone. And it's not just about blood pressure. Caffeine also tightens blood vessels temporarily, what doctors call vasoconstriction. When your vessels narrow while your heart is pumping faster, the strain on your circulatory system increases dramatically. Here's how it looks in real life. Linda, a 68-year-old retired teacher, told me she never skipped her morning coffee. It was her quiet time, but she often drank it before breakfast. One morning, while reading the news, she suddenly felt her heart pounding and her hands shaking. Her blood pressure had jumped to 172/98, a dangerous spike that sent her to the ER. Her doctor told her the cause was simple: coffee on an empty stomach. Now, does this mean you should give up coffee? Absolutely not. Coffee has proven heart and brain benefits. It's all about how and when you drink it. Here's what to do instead. Checkmark: never drink coffee before hydrating. Start your morning with a full glass of water first. This stabilizes blood flow and reduces caffeine's impact on your arteries. Eat something small before your coffee. Even half a banana, a slice of toast, or a handful of nuts helps slow caffeine absorption and prevent sharp blood pressure spikes. Avoid brewing it too strong. Dark, concentrated coffee hits your system harder. Stick with a moderate strength and limit to 1 to 2 cups a day. Watch your timing. The ideal time for coffee is 90 minutes after waking up, when your cortisol naturally starts to drop. You'll feel the energy boost without the pressure spike. Remember, caffeine itself isn't the enemy. It's about respecting your body's rhythm. After 60, your heart and arteries can't handle the same jolt they used to. By simply changing when and how you drink coffee, you protect your heart, your brain, and your peace of mind. So tomorrow morning, try this instead. Drink your water, eat a little something, and then savor that cup of coffee. You'll still feel the energy, but your heart will thank you for the calm start. 4. Taking a hot shower. Immediately after waking up. The hidden circulatory shock that can trigger a morning stroke. There's nothing quite like a hot shower to start the day. The warmth, the steam, the feeling of relaxation. It feels comforting, especially for stiff muscles and cold mornings. But what if I told you that this feel-good habit could quietly strain your heart, drop your blood pressure too quickly, and, in some cases, even trigger a stroke? It sounds surprising, doesn't it? Let's look at what really happens inside your body. When you first wake up, your cardiovascular system is still waking up too. Your blood vessels are slightly constricted, your heart rate is slow, and your blood is thicker from hours of sleep and dehydration. Then you step into a stream of hot water, and that heat suddenly dilates your blood vessels. Your arteries widen rapidly, your blood pressure drops, and your heart tries to compensate by beating faster to push blood to your brain. For younger adults, that adjustment is quick. But for older adults, especially those with high blood pressure, diabetes, or arterial stiffness, this sudden shift can be too much. The result? Dizziness, fainting, or even a transient ischemic attack, mini stroke, due to temporary loss of blood flow to the brain. Doctors from the American Journal of Hypertension note that blood pressure can drop by as much as 20 points within the first few minutes of a hot shower. And if you haven't had water or food yet, that pressure drop can be even more dramatic. It's a scenario I've seen many times. Robert, a 72-year-old retired firefighter, told me he always started his day with a long hot shower to get the joints moving. One winter morning, his wife heard a loud thud. Robert had fainted in the bathroom. At the hospital, tests showed that his blood pressure had fallen from 138/80 to 98/60 within minutes of stepping into the hot water. Thankfully, he recovered, but it was a wake-up call. The heat itself isn't the problem, it's the timing and intensity. Your body simply isn't ready for that thermal shock right after waking up. Here's how to make it safe and healthy. Wait at least 10 to 15 minutes after waking up before showering. Give your body time to stabilize blood pressure and circulation. Start with lukewarm water. Let your body adjust for 30 seconds before gradually increasing the temperature. Avoid steaming hot showers in the early morning. Save those for the evening, when warm water actually helps you relax and sleep better. If you feel lightheaded or your vision dims, step out immediately. That's your body warning you that blood flow to your brain is dropping. Stay hydrated. Drink a glass of water before showering. It helps your heart handle the pressure change more smoothly. Remember, your morning routine sets the tone for your entire day. A gentle, balanced start, not a thermal shock, keeps your circulation stable and your mind clear. So tomorrow morning, try this. Stretch first, drink water, then enjoy a warm, not hot shower. You'll still feel refreshed, but without putting your arteries and brain through a stress test before breakfast. Because at your age, staying calm on the inside is just as important as staying clean on the outside. 5. Morning exercise done too strenuously, the healthy routine that can raise stroke. Risk when done wrong for decades, we've been told. Exercise is medicine, and that's true, in moderation. But what many seniors don't realize is that the way you exercise in the morning can either protect your heart or quietly push it past its limit. Here's what happens. When you first wake up, your body is still in rest mode. Your blood is thicker, your blood vessels are tighter, and your heart rate is lower. Then you step outside for a brisk walk or start doing intense stretches or even push-ups before drinking water or eating anything. At that moment, your heart has to pump harder against thicker blood and narrower arteries. Your blood pressure spikes. Your oxygen levels dip. And if your arteries are already stiff or partially blocked, which is common after 60, that sudden demand can cause a small tear, a clot, or even a minor stroke. Doctors call this the morning blood pressure surge. According to a study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, nearly 40% of strokes in seniors happen within 3 hours of waking up, often linked to overexertion too soon. Let me tell you about Bill, a 67-year-old retired mail carrier. He was in great shape, walked every morning at 6 a.m. sharp, even before breakfast. One morning, halfway through his routine, he felt lightheaded and short of breath. He brushed it off and finished his walk. An hour later, his wife noticed he was slurring his words. Doctors confirmed he'd had a minor ischemic stroke, triggered by extreme early morning exertion combined with dehydration. The truth is, exercise isn't dangerous. It's the timing and intensity that matter. Your cardiovascular system needs a gentle warm-up, just like an old car engine on a cold morning. Here's how to protect yourself. Don't exercise immediately after waking. Wait 30 to 45 minutes, drink water, and move around the house first to get your circulation flowing. Warm up slowly. Do gentle shoulder rolls, ankle circles, or deep breathing before starting any cardio or stretching. Avoid fasted high-intensity workouts. Your body needs some fuel. Even a light snack like a banana or yogurt can help stabilize blood sugar and blood flow. Monitor your pulse and breathing. If you can't speak comfortably during exercise, you're pushing too hard. Exercise later in the morning. Between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. is ideal for seniors. Your blood pressure is more stable, your body is warmer, and your arteries are more relaxed. Hydrate before, during, and after. Even mild dehydration can make your blood thicker and harder to circulate. Remember, you don't need to break a sweat to protect your heart. You just need to keep it beating steadily without unnecessary spikes or stress. So tomorrow morning, instead of rushing into a hard workout, start with gratitude. Stretch gently, sip some water, take your time. Your heart doesn't need intensity, it needs consistency. Because the goal after 60 isn't to compete with your younger self. It's to stay healthy enough to enjoy every sunrise for years to come. 6. Drinking packaged. 100% fruit juice. Every morning, the hidden sugar bomb that strains your arteries. For many seniors, a glass of orange juice in the morning feels like the healthiest way to start the day. It's bright, refreshing, and full of vitamin C, or so we've been told for decades. The label says 100% juice, so it must be natural, right? Unfortunately, not quite. Here's the shocking truth. Most store-bought fruit juices, even those labeled no sugar added, contain as much sugar as a can of soda. Yes, you read that right. One 12-ounce glass of packaged orange juice has around 30 grams of sugar, the same as Coca-Cola. And for your heart and blood vessels, that's a real problem. When you drink fruit juice without fiber, like from eating whole fruit, the natural sugars, fructose and glucose, rush into your bloodstream almost instantly. Your blood sugar spikes, your pancreas releases a surge of insulin, and your arteries tighten in response to the sudden energy rush. This combination can cause inflammation, thicken blood, and increase stress on your circulatory system, especially dangerous for anyone over 60. A study from Harvard University found that adults who drank one or more servings of fruit juice daily had a 24% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease compared to those who rarely drank it. Another study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association discovered that high fruit juice intake increased the risk of premature death from stroke by 14%. The problem isn't fruit itself, it's the missing fiber. In whole fruits, fiber slows down sugar absorption, keeping your blood sugar stable. But in juice, all that fiber is gone, leaving you with concentrated fructose that behaves almost like processed sugar. Let me give you a real-life example. Barbara, a 71-year-old retiree, used to start every morning with a large glass of 100% orange juice. She believed it was part of a heart-healthy breakfast. But during her annual checkup, her doctor found her triglycerides and blood pressure had climbed sharply, even though she wasn't eating sweets. When she stopped drinking packaged juice and switched to whole fruit and water, her numbers dropped within 2 months. So, what should you do instead? Choose real fruit, not bottled juice. Eat an orange, an apple, or a handful of berries. The fiber in real fruit helps regulate sugar and supports digestion. If you love juice, make it fresh. Blend the entire fruit, including some pulp, so you keep the fiber. Limit your portion to 4 to 6 ounces, not a full glass. Avoid 100% juice marketing tricks. Even no added sugar juices can contain natural sugars concentrated through processing. Always check the nutrition label. Drink water first, juice later, if at all. Hydrating with water before meals helps stabilize blood pressure and prevents sugar overload. Try alternatives. Infused water with lemon, cucumber, or berries gives flavor without the sugar spike. Remember, your arteries don't care where sugar comes from. whether it's candy, soda, or fruit juice. To your heart, sugar is sugar. And while an occasional glass won't hurt, making it a daily habit can quietly wear down your circulatory system. So tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for that carton in the fridge, grab a piece of real fruit and a glass of water. It's simpler, safer, and far better for the heart you've worked your whole life to protect. 7. Skipping or delaying breakfast past 10 a.m. The intermittent fasting. Mistake that raises morning stroke risk. Over the past few years, intermittent fasting has become one of the biggest health trends in America. You've probably heard it everywhere. Skip breakfast and let your body burn fat. And sure, it might work for younger adults trying to lose weight. But after 60, skipping or delaying breakfast can quietly do the opposite of what you want. It can raise your blood pressure, thicken your blood, and increase your stroke risk before noon. Here's why. When you wake up, your body is already in a mild fasting state after 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Your blood sugar is low, your cortisol is high, and your heart is just starting to ramp up circulation. If you continue to go without food, say until 10 or 11 a.m., your body thinks it's under stress. In response, it releases even more cortisol and adrenaline, which cause your blood vessels to tighten and your heart rate to rise. This combination leads to morning hypertension, a condition where your blood pressure spikes dangerously in the first few hours after waking up. According to the Journal of Hypertension, adults over 60 who regularly skip breakfast have a 36% higher risk of stroke or heart attack than those who eat a balanced morning meal. And it's not just about blood pressure. When you go too long without eating, your blood becomes slightly more viscous, thicker. That makes it easier for tiny clots to form and harder for your heart to push blood through your arteries. For someone with atherosclerosis, narrowed arteries, that can be enough to trigger a transient ischemic attack, what doctors call a mini-stroke. Let's look at a real story. Thomas, a 69-year-old retired accountant, started following a popular intermittent fasting plan he saw online. He skipped breakfast every day and didn't eat until 11 a.m. He felt fine for the first few weeks, more disciplined, as he put it. But one morning, while tending his garden, he suddenly felt lightheaded and couldn't move his right arm. The doctors later confirmed he had suffered a small stroke. His blood pressure and clotting factors had spiked mid-morning after hours without food or water. That's not to say fasting is always bad, but it's not designed for everyone, especially seniors. Your brain and heart need steady fuel to maintain healthy blood flow and oxygen delivery. Here's how to protect yourself. Never skip breakfast entirely. Even something light, oatmeal, Greek yogurt, a boiled egg, or fruit, helps regulate blood sugar and stabilize blood pressure. Eat within 60 to 90 minutes of waking up. That's when your cortisol naturally peaks, and eating helps bring it down. Avoid sugary or processed breakfasts. These cause sugar spikes that crash later, forcing your heart to work even harder. Include magnesium and potassium-rich foods. Bananas, avocados, and spinach help relax your blood vessels and balance morning tension. Stay hydrated before eating. Drink a glass of water first to prepare your digestive system and thin your blood. Skipping breakfast may sound like discipline, but for your heart, it's stress. Your body after 60 isn't built for long fasts. It's built for balance. So tomorrow morning, instead of pushing breakfast off for hours, do your heart a favor. Sit down, take a deep breath, and enjoy something light but nourishing. Because feeding your body early isn't a weakness. It's one of the smartest things you can do to stay strong, steady, and stroke-free. 8. Eating fried or reheated oils. The crispy breakfast habit that damages blood vessels. There's something undeniably comforting about a crispy breakfast. Bacon sizzling in the pan, golden toast, maybe even some hash browns or fried eggs. That smell takes many of us straight back to childhood. But here's what most seniors don't realize. The same crispy crunch that tastes so good in the morning could be quietly damaging your arteries from the inside. The real danger isn't just the fat, it's the oil itself. When oil is heated to high temperatures, especially more than once, it breaks down into compounds called aldehydes and lipid peroxides. These are toxic substances that attack the lining of your blood vessels, making them stiff, inflamed, and prone to plaque buildup. Over time, that inflammation becomes the perfect storm for atherosclerosis, the hardening and narrowing of arteries, which dramatically increases your risk of stroke, especially as you age. And reheating oil makes things even worse. When restaurants or even home cooks reuse oil from the previous day, or reheat fried leftovers in the microwave, that oil oxidizes further, becoming what researchers call trans fat-like toxins. These compounds have been shown in studies from the University of Minnesota to cause endothelial dysfunction, a fancy term meaning your blood vessels lose their ability to relax and regulate blood flow. That's why after a heavy fried breakfast, some people feel sluggish, dizzy, or even notice tingling in their hands or feet. It's not just aging, it's your circulation reacting to toxic, overheated fats clogging the system. Let me tell you about Diane, a 73-year-old grandmother who loved her weekend breakfast ritual, bacon, sausage, and fried potatoes. She'd cook them in the same skillet, often reusing oil from the day before. Her doctor had warned her about cholesterol, but she didn't think a little oil mattered. That was until one Sunday she experienced blurred vision and couldn't lift her right arm. The hospital diagnosed her with a mild stroke. Her arteries were heavily inflamed and partially blocked. Diane didn't smoke or drink. It was her diet that quietly did the damage. So how do you enjoy breakfast without putting your heart and brain at risk? Avoid reheating oil or reusing frying pans with old grease. Once oil has been used for frying, it should be discarded, not saved. Use heart-healthy oils instead. Olive oil, avocado oil, or a small amount of coconut oil can handle moderate heat and contain antioxidants that protect your vessels. Try baking or air frying. These methods use less oil but still give you that crispy texture many people love. Balance every meal with something fresh. Add tomatoes, avocado, or leafy greens to help neutralize oxidative compounds from cooked fats. Keep fried foods as an occasional treat, not a daily routine. Even one small change, like switching from bacon and fried eggs to oatmeal with fruit 3 times a week, can lower your stroke risk by up to 20%, according to data from the Harvard School of Public Health. Remember, your arteries are like soft, flexible tubes. Every time you eat reheated or burnt oil is like pouring hot tar through those tubes. They stiffen, crack, and eventually clog. You don't have to give up flavor, just the dangerous habits that come with it. Because after 60, protecting your heart and brain isn't about eating less. It's about eating smarter. 9. Starting the day with processed or frozen foods, high sodium. The convenient breakfast that raises blood pressure. Before 9 a.m. We live in a world of convenience. Breakfast sandwiches that pop right out of the microwave, frozen waffles ready in seconds, or instant breakfast bowls loaded with flavor. For many seniors living alone, they're quick, easy, and seem harmless. But what most people don't realize is that these foods, marketed as time savers, can quietly raise your blood pressure before your day even starts. Here's why. Most processed or frozen breakfast foods are packed with sodium, preservatives, and hidden fats. Even one frozen breakfast burrito or healthy-looking turkey sausage patty can contain 700 to 1,200 milligrams of sodium, half of your recommended daily limit before 9 a.m. That flood of sodium pulls extra water into your bloodstream, increasing blood volume and forcing your heart to pump harder. The result? Your morning blood pressure spikes, your arteries tense up, and your risk of stroke subtly rises, especially in the early hours when circulation is naturally more sluggish. A major study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that seniors who regularly consumed high-sodium processed foods had up to a 61% higher risk of stroke and heart failure. And the danger compounds over time. Even if you don't feel symptoms today, that extra salt slowly stiffens and scars your arteries, like rust building up in metal pipes. Let's look at an example. Robert, 72, a widower, loved the convenience of his Jimmy Dean breakfast bowl. It was fast, tasty, and felt filling. But within months, his doctor noticed his blood pressure creeping up from 128/78 to 154/90. Robert hadn't added table salt to anything. He just didn't realize his microwave meals already contained over 2,000 milligrams of sodium a day. After switching to a simple home-cooked breakfast, oatmeal, banana, and scrambled egg, his blood pressure returned to normal within 6 weeks. The truth is, it's not the food itself. It's how it's made to last. Manufacturers use sodium, nitrates, and phosphate additives to preserve flavor and shelf life. But in your bloodstream, those chemicals increase oxidative stress, damage blood vessel walls, and make your arteries less flexible. Here's how to protect yourself and still enjoy easy mornings. Check the labels. If one serving has over 400 milligrams of sodium, skip it. Look for low-sodium options under 200 milligrams per serving. Cook once, eat twice. Prepare oatmeal, quinoa, or boiled eggs ahead of time and store them in the fridge. You'll still have a fast breakfast, but without the chemicals. Season smartly. Use herbs like basil, garlic powder, or cinnamon instead of salt. They add flavor and help support healthy blood flow. Hydrate first. Drink a full glass of water before eating anything salty to balance sodium levels. Checkmark. Beware of heart-healthy marketing. Even products labeled low-fat or whole grain can be loaded with hidden salt. Always read the fine print. It's easy to think that saving a few minutes in the morning is worth the trade-off. But when you look closer, those fast and easy breakfasts can quietly rob your heart of years of good health. So tomorrow morning, skip the frozen aisle and give your arteries something they'll thank you for. A real meal made with real food. Because your first meal sets the tone for your entire day, and maybe even the next decade of your life. 10. Not smiling. Starting the day with anxiety or stress. The emotional habit that tightens your arteries. You've probably heard the saying, laughter is the best medicine. But what if I told you that a single smile in the morning could actually help prevent a stroke? It sounds almost too simple to be true. But science says it's real. When you wake up tense, worried, or irritated, maybe you didn't sleep well. Your knees ache, or you're thinking about bills or your next doctor's appointment. Your brain immediately triggers your fight-or-flight response. That means stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline flood your bloodstream. What do those hormones do? They make your heart beat faster, your blood vessels tighten, and your blood pressure rise. And for older adults, especially those already managing hypertension, this daily dose of stress can be just as harmful as eating a salty breakfast or skipping water. In fact, research from the European Heart Journal found that people who experience chronic morning stress have up to a 44% higher risk of stroke, not because of diet or genetics, but because of how stress affects the vascular system. Your arteries are lined with delicate cells called endothelium. These cells help control blood flow and prevent clotting. But when cortisol stays high, the endothelium becomes inflamed, stiff, and less able to relax. It's like starting your car engine while pressing both the gas and brake pedals. Something's going to wear out sooner. Now here's the beautiful part. the opposite is also true. Smiling, even when you don't feel like it, triggers the release of dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, natural chemicals that relax your blood vessels and lower your heart rate. In other words, your body responds to a smile the same way it responds to a blood pressure pill, calmly, gently, and instantly. Let me tell you about Grace, a 74-year-old widow who used to wake up every day feeling lonely and anxious. Her mornings were quiet and heavy. She'd drink her coffee in silence, scrolling through sad news headlines. Her doctor warned her that her blood pressure was creeping up despite her medication. So she made one small change. Every morning, before getting out of bed, she looked in the mirror and smiled, even forced it at first. Then she'd call her daughter or watch a funny animal video before breakfast. 3 months later, her blood pressure dropped from 148/86 to 128/78. No new meds, just a change in mood and mindset. The lesson is simple but powerful. Your emotions are part of your circulation. How you feel directly affects how your heart pumps and how your arteries behave. Here's how to protect your heart, emotionally and physically, each morning. Smile before you stand. Even a forced smile can reset your stress response and lower cortisol within minutes. Avoid the news first thing. Give your brain 30 minutes to wake up before exposing it to negative headlines. Practice gratitude. Think of 3 small things you're thankful for before breakfast. Move gently. Stretch or take slow, mindful breaths. It helps oxygen flow and calms your heart rhythm. Connect. A short conversation with a friend or family member can reduce stress hormones and boost immunity. Your morning mood sets the tone for your arteries, your heart, and your entire day. So tomorrow, when you wake up, before you reach for your phone or coffee, take a deep breath and smile. It might just be the simplest heart medicine you'll ever need, because protecting yourself from stroke isn't only about what you eat or drink, it's also about what you feel. Every small choice you make in the morning, from how you get out of bed, to what you drink, to how you feel, shapes your heart health for the entire day. Stroke doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It builds silently through daily habits. But the good news is, so does protection. By starting your mornings with care, drinking water, moving gently, eating real food, and smiling, you're not just lowering your stroke risk. You're giving your heart and brain a reason to keep thriving. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Because after 60, your best medicine is your daily routine. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe to Senior Health Tips for more science-backed ways to live longer, stronger, and happier. Take care of your mornings, and your mornings will take care of you.